All right, we might get going, guys. Ben, do you want to kick us off?
Ooh. G'day, Ashton. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate.
Excellent. Just to report how your weekend off in Wellington was. Obviously, it was a fairly odd week with the lockdown announced.
Yeah, it was an odd week. Obviously, some news coming in thick and fast, but we had a couple of days off, so that was beautiful. The boys enjoyed some golf, just spending some time together, doing some normal things. I think that's really important, when you spend a lot of time in bubbles, hubs, quarantine, all of this stuff throughout a big year, finding those little gaps in the schedule is really nice. So the boys are, quite refreshed after that.
What's the reaction to the fact you're playing 3 games now at Wellington Sky Stadium?
Well, I think obviously with these next two being in Wellington, the right decision has been made. I think, assessing the situation with what happened in Auckland, they've made sure that they've looked after the players, mental and physical well-being and come to the right decision. So COVID moves so quickly, and we have to move with that. And I think, playing at a really cool stadium is a good result.
How do you think it'll actually affect the series? There's some suggestions the pitch doesn't turn as much as, say, the grounds you've played at so far.
Well, to be fair, the pitches haven't turned too much most of the series. So you expect that in T20 cricket. I don't really expect to play on many pitches that give too much for the bowlers. So I've also heard that this ground isn't as short straight. So that's always nice to hear. I think, the last ground we played on in Dunedin was really small. So to have a longer boundary straight down the wicket is beautiful as a spinner.
And just finally, I mean, the COVID situation is obviously in flux and it's so far from ideal. How stressed are you and the playing group about the potential you might get stuck in quarantine on the way home?
Quarantine's a tough one. Obviously, we wouldn't, it's not the ideal situation doing quarantine. I think no one really likes the thought of quarantine, but I think we have the faith in Cricket Australia, New Zealand cricket, that they have the players, physical and mental health in their best interest. So, whatever happens, I'm sure the right decision will be made. And that's how it's been the whole summer.
Thanks very much, mate.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ben. Dave. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Dave, we'll head to you.
Yeah, g'day, Ashton. Just to follow on from that, mate, have you guys been briefed at all on what the situation might be for you guys at the end of the tour?
Yeah, we've had a briefing. Management has kept us up to date throughout the whole tour. Obviously, it started off very smoothly, and then the situation in Auckland developed up to this point, and a decision had been made, to change those games to Wellington. And at this point, that's where we're at. We have to look forward, to the games that are coming up, and that's all we can do at this point in time.
And is there sort of a process you have to go through to sort of mentally and emotionally prepare for that prospect of another 2 weeks in a hotel back home?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you always have to prepare yourself a little bit. That thought is never easy. There's a lot of guys that have done, probably up to 6 weeks of isolation, quarantine, maybe even more than that, and they've probably got more coming up. Cricket doesn't really stop throughout the year, and with this situation, there just seems to be a lot of that happening. So, yeah, but we have really good support around us. We've got a wonderful psychologist on tour, plenty of resources to help us in that mental health space, and we've got each other's backs as well as a playing group. I think everyone looks after one another really well, and there's a lot of empathy there.
Nice. If I could just ask about on-field stuff for one. You and Zams have been going for about 10 and over in small grounds and stuff. I know you guys work well as a pair. What's the chat been between you two about how your strategies might evolve, or what can you do different for the rest of the series?
Yeah, I guess so far it's been a little bit tough. You're playing a fast outfield in a really small ground. You can't expect to go at 6 or 7 and over like we have been in the past. So we just have to adapt. We've seen how they're playing. We might, I guess, the art of being unpredictable in T20 cricket as a spinner. maybe we have to work on that a little bit. I'm sure we'll work on that a little bit more at training today and tomorrow. And just remaining positive, though. I think you can't hide away. You've got to get yourself in the game as much as you can and really fire up in that competition. As soon as you shy away from that competition when they're hitting you over the fence, you're in a lot of trouble. So taking it to them as much as they're taking it to us is really important.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Dave. John, over to you.
Hi, Ashton. Thanks for your time. I've just got a couple of test questions, actually. Over sort of the next year, Australia sort of heads to Pakistan, supposedly anyway, and then Sri Lanka and India. Do you sort of have that on in your sort of hopes, I guess, to get on those tours? And do you sort of feel you're perhaps a better test bowler than you were sort of 3 years ago when you played your last test?
Yeah, I think I'm a much better bowler than I was 3 years ago. And that's really exciting. I've got a lot of faith in my ability now. I'm a lot more experienced, and I think I understand, the nature of the game a lot better as a spinner. So my skill set has certainly developed, and that's been helped a lot through white ball cricket as well. You get some really high pressure situations in front of big crowds, and you have a short amount of time to try and perform. So, to get that opportunity, who knows what's going to happen, but it's I'd like to think that it might be a chance, with 3 subcontinent tours coming up. It's pretty exciting.
Have you had a chance to sort of watch any of the England and India series? And if you have, what have you sort of made of how Leach and perhaps Agar have gone about it over there and their sort of straight deliveries and the like?
Oh, I've been loving it. I love watching cricket in the subcontinent. Like, that is the greatest cricket to watch as a spinner. Loved watching Agar Patel bowl. I think there was an article recently that spoke a lot about he was able to just hit the shiny side of the ball and get a few to go straight, and often they're the most lethal ones because you're expecting them to turn so much. And he would have got, maybe 10 of his wickets in the last couple of tests with straight balls. So pretty exciting stuff. Hopefully the pitches stay that way in the subcontinent. Makes for really exciting cricket.
Thanks, Ashton.
Cheers.
Thanks, John. Finlay. Oh, sorry, I think I'm asking this one. Ash, do you think the lack of fans in the stadium could level the playing field in any way, with the Black Caps obviously not benefiting from that home support we've had so far?
Yeah, I think it definitely could a little bit. A home ground advantage always helps when you've got a crowd that's right behind their home team, and that's how it's been so far. It's always a fun crowd over here in New Zealand. They make for a great atmosphere. So for them to not have that, particularly on a game that the series hinges on, could be a massive advantage for us. But at the end of the day, we just need to play some really good cricket. We know that if we play our best, we're good to beat any side in the world. So that's what we'll be trying to do.
Any more questions, guys? No. If there's no more questions, we can wrap up, guys. If not, just jump in the chat or unmute yourself and let me know.
I just had a quick one. Just Ashton, you just touched on hitting the shiny side of the ball. Is that the key to the straighter deliveries for this shiny side to hit the deck?
I think I'm not sure how intentional it is all the time. I think sometimes it happens by chance. Some guys may be able to do that. It's a really tough skill and really difficult to do. The key to bowling in the subcontinent is your accuracy, consistency, hitting the stumps every ball. One might turn massive, one might not turn at all. And sometimes if you don't know what the ball's going to do as a bowler, the batsman has absolutely no idea. However, he seemed to do it, Agar in particular, quite a lot of times. So maybe it's something to work on. I think, I'm keen to play around with that actually after watching that. It's a really good skill to have. You watch guys like Rangan Herath is a beautiful example of that. Whether he meant to do it or not, he always hit the same spot on the pitch and just let the ball or the pitch go to work. So that's the most important part. Then that skill probably comes next.
Thanks, Ashton. Great.
Thanks, John. That looks like the last of the questions, guys, so we might wrap up. Thanks for joining us, and we'll chat to you tomorrow.
Cheers, Lucy. Cheers, Ashton.
Thanks, Lucy. Thanks,
Bye.
Ashton. Great.
Thanks.
Cheers.